is actually pretty torquey. Like, this just gets up and goes really well. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over the all-new 2021 Subaru Crosstrek plug-in hybrid. First and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Mark Miller Subaru for providing us with this Crosstrek. Check out them, try the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood of the Crosstrek Hybrid, we have a naturally aspirated 2-liter flat 4-cylinder that goes through a CVT automatic transmission. Now, the total system output's 148 horsepower, and then the combined fuel economy between around town on the highway is 35 miles. Now let's go over the front end of the Crosstrek Hybrid. So first and foremost, you do get full LED lights. So you've got the little LED accent light that comes around in a ring, and then you got the LED projector bulbs as well. Fog lights just down below, and then yes, you've got the little bit more aggressive bumper because you are supposed to be able to take the Crosstrek off-road. And I love how they made this kind of look like a skid plate there at the bottom. Definitely a cool stylistic cue right there. And then you've got the normal Subaru logo, but other than that, the front end is unchanged compared to any other Crosstrek, so you can't really tell it's a hybrid here from the front. Now coming around the side here, we've got two 25mm tires on 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well with the Crosstrek. And then in terms of the design on the wheels, they did kind of like a more like polished aluminum look on the outside of the wheels, kind of like those little squiggly lines. And then they did a darker metallic gray in the center. Overall looks really good with the rest of the car. And then you still get the molding around the fenders, so they do poke out a little bit, and it's pretty interesting, the texture on them. And then yes, you do have your plug-in hybrid badge right there, and then that textured plastic continues all along the side of the Crosstrek. Obviously that's protection if you do take this on the off-road so that you don't damage the side of the car. But other than that, here is your full side view on the Crosstrek Hybrid. Coming to the back of the Crosstrek Hybrid, you get the rubber floor covering back here. It says Subaru there at the top, and then you get kind of like a little bit of storage space under here, but notice this is pretty far raised up, and that's because of the battery pack here in the rear. But compared to a lot of other hybrids, it's actually not bad. It doesn't get into the storage space too much with the car. And then you actually could put a little cargo cover back here, which is pretty interesting. It'd be pretty small, and it like wouldn't cover that much, but I mean, it's better than nothing, right? But yeah, other than that, that is everything for the rear. So let's go over the rear of the Crosstrek Hybrid. So you can see that you get the same lights here in the rear, and then you got your Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive badge, and then you've got another plug-in hybrid badge on that side. Parking sensors here for the rear as well. And I've always liked this little touch here on either side to differentiate this from the Impreza. Looks pretty neat. And then yes, you do get the little plug-in hybrid area. So this is actually where you're going to charge the car. You just basically put the plug-in right here, and the Subaru dealership does come with a charging station. So here at Mark Miller in Midtown, it's just right over there in that little area, which I'll just show you guys quickly. So you guys can see you've got the little charging station here, pretty straightforward. You basically just take the charger out and then you put it into the car. Nothing too fancy, but yeah, the Subaru dealership has one. Coming to the door panel in the rear, I love the carbon fiber print that they did here on the side, and then the perforated leather here as well in kind of like a whitish gray. And then coming down below, I love how they did the blue, kind of go with the hybrid theme, right? Usually do blue or green for most hybrids, and then the blue stitching as well. And they continue the color theme onto the seats. So you've got the like all blue seats with that kind of like whitish gray, and then the blue stitching that goes down as well. Just a really cool look in general. And let's actually pop in. So, well, stepping height's not too bad. If you guys are running, I'm about 5'11", and then here's what my legroom looks like here in the rear as well. And then if you are wondering, this does pull down to be a couple of cup holders. But yeah, the seating space back here is actually pretty solid, and just look how beautiful this is. Like, it's a really nice interior back here. Now let's take a look at the door panel here at the front of the Crosstrek. So notice that it did like a gloss finish here on the carbon fiber trim in the front, opposed to the matte finish that's in the rear. And then they continue like that blue theme with the stitching and everything. Still get the nice perforated leather right here, just looks really good. And yes, this does come with the Harman Kardon audio system. And then here are the seats at the front, so they continue that theme of the blue and then the kind of like the whitish gray with the blue stitching that goes all throughout. The bolsters are a little bit bigger on the front seats. And then you can see you've got the adjustments there on the side of the seat. And then you do get Crosstrek specific floor mats that come with this. And then over here, we've got quite a few controls. We'll get into this once we go in the interior, but here's kind of like a close-up look of that. And then there's one more look before we pop in. Now, normally this is the section where we go over the steering wheel, but let's actually go over the controls in this area. And I love how they contain the blue theme from the door all the way onto the dash as well. Pretty neat. But this is actually for your charging schedule. So you press that and it'll pop up there on the center screen going over the charging schedule of the car, which is pretty neat. This is just a little gas cap release. You got your blind spot monitor, you turn it on or off, your stability control, and then this is actually your hill climb assist. All pretty neat. You've got all those controls where you can just basically reach over and touch them. Now, with the rest of the steering wheel, you actually have blue stitching on the inside again to kind of continue that like theme that this is a hybrid. And then you've got your cruise control over on this side. It does have adaptive cruise control and it's got the lane keep assist as well. Got your little heated steering wheel button just hiding behind there. Your phone controls, volume controls, all the normal stuff for the radio. And then you have the stock for the lights and then the stock for the windshield wipers on the other side. Now here is the center gauge cluster, and I actually really like the look of the center gauge cluster. I love how you have like the charge, the eco, and then the power over on the other side to kind of tell you how your driving is at the current situation. And then here in the center screen, just different bits of vehicle information. I think it's cool. Obviously it shows you your range, all that kind of stuff. Pretty neat. And then yes, this does have the SI drive mode. So you've got the S mode and then the I mode right here. You've got those on the steering wheel. Obviously, if you want to get a little bit better fuel economy, then stick it over into the I mode. And then this does come with the X mode as well, which I'll show you guys the button in just a little bit. But you just press that, and that'll be your off-road mode for the Crosstrek. And that's everything for the drive modes in the center stack. You guys remember this little info button here on the steering wheel? This is actually what controls this screen here at the top. So you just press that info button, and it'll go through all the different screens here at the top. Again, just to give you different bits of information on the vehicle. You got like the weather, navigation, basically everything in that little center screen. But you just press the info button to go through all the different menus. Now here for the center infotainment system, you can control it via the steering wheel, or you can use these little analog buttons down below, but it's also a touchscreen. So there's like a bunch of different ways to actually control the infotainment system itself. And first and foremost though, let's actually pop it into reverse so you guys can see the backup camera. Now you do get trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. Remember, you do have the parking sensors as well to help out with parking. Resolution on the camera system's good. But yeah, response time on this touchscreen is really solid. I like the look of it as well, and I like the fact you can control it via multiple different methods. We've got the climb controls just down in this little area, and then you can see you've got a little USB back there with an auxiliary as well. I love the blue stitching all around here in this area. Now this looks like a normal shifter on the surface, and you guys are like, okay, well it's got all the normal drive modes, and then you see the B, and you're like, what does the B stand for? So all these are regular modes, right? You've got your park, reverse, neutral, drive. This is actually a charging mode. It's basically for the regenerative braking when you're going downhill. So you put it in the B mode when you're going downhill, and it'll kind of slow the car down, but then it'll actually charge the battery. So it's actually pretty cool. And then you actually do have a charge mode for the battery, which will turn the engine on to charge the battery. So you just press that, and it'll do that to kind of charge up the battery as well. That's the X mode button I was telling you about. You got your little parking brake, and then the heated seat controls right here. But that's kind of like how this whole like shifter area looks. Now I've got a regular center console, nothing too crazy happening here, but again, blue with the blue stitching. And then you can see they continue that blue stitching onto the dash. They've got the trim that all connects. So like from a design standpoint, it actually looks really good. And then regular glove box that does have the window sticker, which I'll show you guys in just a moment. But this is everything for like the bottom section. Now up top here, we do get a traditional sunroof, and you've got the controls for the sunroof right there, and then the lights, you just press them and they will pop on. Pretty straightforward, and honestly, that's everything for up top. Here's a window for the Crosstrek Hybrid, and then here's those fuel economy ratings we were talking about earlier in today's video. And then feel free to freeze the frame if you would like to see all of the specific equipment that this particular Crosstrek Hybrid comes with from the factory. And then you can see the couple bits of optional equipment that this particular one has. And then with all that being said, here is the total MSRP, $38,655 before any type of market adjustment. And that all being said, let's take this Crosstrek Hybrid out and see how it drives. Let's quickly talk about visibility before we set off here in the Crosstrek Hybrid. So you can see visibility over the hood. It's really easy to see out of it. And again, the hybrid system doesn't get in the way whatsoever. There's your visibility through both of the mirrors. And then here is your visibility all throughout the rear. So other than the fact that you kind of like a little bit of a slope design in the back, it's actually pretty good from a visibility standpoint. And that all being said, let's set off. So we're initially setting off here in the Crosstrek Hybrid, and let's quickly talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So it's actually like a relatively windy day, not as windy as it has been, but you actually aren't hearing a whole lot of wind noise in this cabin. It does a really good job. You do hear a little bit of noise from the tires, but it's pretty minimal. The nicest thing though is because this is a hybrid, when you're in the EV mode, you don't get any engine noise, so it makes the cabin a lot quieter compared to a regular Crosstrek. So if you're kind of looking for like more of like a luxury feel with the Crosstrek, it does a good job. And let's see what the braking's like. So the braking isn't weird at all. Even in, I'll test the B mode in just a little bit. It's supposed to be for downhill, but this area that we'll be going over is like just very slightly downhill. And so I'll kind of test it out, see if it makes the brakes feel any bit different compared to normal. But so far the brakes feel normal. They aren't like awkwardly touchy. Some hybrids, like you press the brakes and it just like makes you feel like you're a new driver. This doesn't have any weird things with the brakes. Taking our first turn here, and we'll kind of see what the turning radius is like. Pretty sharp actually for the car. It definitely doesn't feel big or massive or anything, which is another nice little touch here with the Crosstrek. And now when we get into this little area, this is where it like slightly, just ever so slightly, kind of goes downhill. So it'll give me a chance to see what that B mode actually feels like. And again, I just want to see if it makes it so that the braking feels any different. And it's actually pretty torquey. Like this just gets up and goes really well. I am very like pleasantly surprised with that. Like I'm still in the EV mode, guys. Like I have not gone into using the gasoline engine whatsoever, and it just gets up to speed so seamlessly. It does a really good job. And we'll go back into that B mode. I can instantly feel it slow down. That is really cool. So it kind of feels like a Tesla actually. So if you guys have ever driven a Tesla, whenever you let off the throttle, it just kind of slows down. This has that same feeling when you go into the B mode. It slows down for you. So then you literally, if you drove this properly, you could just be going from regular drive into the B mode, and you probably would never have to use the brakes or have very minimal brake use. And then you're charging the battery, and since you're charging the battery, then you're gonna have to use less gas, which means that you're gonna save yourself money on gas, which is pretty cool. They've got a really good setup on this actually, and it's really seamless, and I love how you have power over it. So if you just want to drive this like a regular car, you just put it in drive and you go. But if you want to save on gas, then you shift between the drive and the B mode, and that'll save you a little bit on gas. So like a really good example is, you guys can see that the light is red up here, and I'll go over into the B mode, and I mean, I'm not pressing on the brakes whatsoever right now. It's slowing down for me. And then right here at the end, just a little bit. Yeah, that is so seamless. I love it. Now we are in the sport mode. We'll get our little acceleration here. That sounds really cool actually. So you like, when you're in the sport mode, you can hear the whirring of the electric motors, and then you also get the engine sound. Oh, that braking is so good. And then you also get the engine sound and everything, and it's just it's different, but it sounds cool. As we're taking this turn here, we're gonna get one more acceleration, then we're gonna sum things up with the hybrid. So here we go. Yeah, it just sounds so interesting. So summing things up here on this plug-in hybrid Crosstrek, from an acceleration standpoint, it actually does really good. Even though the power figures don't suggest it, it actually accelerates way better than I expected. It definitely feels quicker off the line and everything compared to the previous Crosstrek, the 2020 with the 152 horsepower engine. So yeah, it does a really good job with that. Obviously fuel economy rating is great for this, and just overall I think it's a really solid package. So if you're looking for a good fuel economy SUV that you could actually take on the off-road and just have a little bit of fun with, then I think this new Crosstrek plug-in hybrid is a great option. And you just have to put a little charging station in your house or use one at the Subaru store, and maybe you never have to use gas again. Who knows? Well, that is going to sum things up for our video on this 2021 Subaru Crosstrek Hybrid. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Mark Miller Subaru here in Utah for providing us with this Crosstrek Hybrid. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in that next video.